Wait, you're an urban farmer? Aren't you worried about vandalism? Theft? People trouncing all over your stuff? Are you going to build fences? Answers to these questions and more coming up today on Spin City's Farm. We're trying a little bit of an experiment today on these videos where I'm just in the office chatting with you and there's not anything like on the farm to show you. We're just going to try it with this webcam and capture it directly into my video editing software. The quality is a little bit lower, and I apologize, this mic does pick up a little bit of the hum from my computer fan, but I hope you'll bear with me, still deliver the content, and this helps me do it a little bit faster so that I can bring you more content more frequently. I will still be shooting stuff on the farm with the main cam when there is something out in the field or in the shop to show you. So obviously the intro there was a little overly dramatic, but you kind of get the point. That's kind of how the conversation tends to go whenever I tell people I'm a farmer, particularly an urban farmer. Those questions almost invariably come up within the first few minutes of the conversation, particularly when I'm going to a new lot, either approaching like a new landowner, or maybe, I'm talking to the neighbors at a new lot for a first time. Oh, what are you up to? Oh, you're growing food? And within a few turns of the conversation, a few minutes time, it invariably leads to, oh, aren't you worried about people stealing your stuff? Aren't you worried about people, messing with your crops? Aren't you worried, are you going to end up building a fence? Blah, 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 this and that and the other thing. And, well, let's kind of tackle those in reverse order. Are you going to build a fence? No. Fences don't help anybody with anything. If somebody really wants to get into your stuff and mess with it, you've got a 10-foot high fence, I bet you somebody could find an 11-foot ladder. If you've got a gate on it, which you probably have to get into it, that gate is a weak point. They'll either break the hinges, break the locking mechanism, whatever. Many types of fences can have holes cut into them, or if they're made with wood, boards ripped off. So what's the point in building a fence? It's incredibly cost prohibitive. For the amount that it would take me to fence in one of my 40 feet by 120 feet urban lots, that's the amount of money that I spend on seed and compost and flamer fuel in a whole season on all of my lots. So why would I spend the money, the time, the energy, the effort to build a fence? It's going to require usually multiple people. I don't have multiple people on my crew. It's a one-man operation. It just doesn't make any sense for me to build a fence. I will caveat that. That is in regards to human interference. If you're a more rural farmer and you're worried about, say, deer, for example, then that would be a perfectly good reason to put up a fence. The pests I have here in the urban setting aren't going to be affected by a fence. I'm not going to be able to get rid of insects and rabbits with a fence. Let's tackle another one of those questions. Are you worried about people stealing your food? The short answer is no. The types of crops that I grow at Spin City's Farm don't really lend themselves to theft. I'm growing mostly like leafy greens and root crops. That's the majority of the stuff. And then a little bit of herbs and microgreens, but those are here at the home site in the shop on shelving units. So that doesn't even really count for the field aspect. So, this year I'm going to be doing peas and beans. Those things maybe lend themselves to theft a little bit more than previous crops I had, but it's not like I'm growing strawberries or apples or cucumbers or something that somebody's going to walk up and pick off the vine, or tomatoes or something like that. So the types of crops that I'm growing don't really lend themselves to theft very much. And even if they did, or even if somebody were motivated enough to come out there and rip beets out of the ground, what are they going to do? Grab a handful of them? Okay, whatever, I guess. They were probably hungry. They hopefully had a use for them. I wish they would come talk to me first before stealing them. But, there's some kind of adage, I forget exactly how it goes, but you plant 10% for the birds and 10% for the thieves or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the adage is, but, you know, whatever. People, if they're really that motivated to steal food from me, I hope they're full at the end of the day. That's my take on it. And vandalism, I guess, to answer and address that concern or question, I have had a bit of an issue with this. I wouldn't necessarily call it vandalism per se. See, the issue comes from the fact that I'm in an urban setting and I'm using empty lots, for whatever that means. Lots that people in the neighborhood have been used to for years and years, been used to walking through. They use them, whatever, to get from an alley to a sidewalk or get into their yard, or they're parking on it maybe, or something like that. But usually it's foot traffic. So at the beginning of a lot, I have had a little bit of a problem with people walking through it. But that problem immediately ends as soon as I've got stuff planted on it and those crops start to come up. As soon as they see that, like, oh, somebody's like doing something with this lot, then it's done. I did put up a little bit of a signage on my lots last year that just said, hey, I'm a garden, you know, please don't walk through me. I made it cute, but the bottom line was like, hey, this is a garden, private property, please don't walk through it. You know, you're welcome to come through on the designated paths, and I made it very clear where people could walk, and they're welcome to come and look at things and smell things, but not take things and touch things. I had a little bit of almost like a poem type thing on the sign that made it really cute, but that was kind of the gist of what the signage was. And as soon as I got crops established and put those signs up, the problem of people walking through the lots ended immediately. So, like I mentioned, I did have a bit of a problem with that. If you want to consider that vandalism, I guess you can, but there was no direct evidence of people coming in and messing with stuff. Nobody ripped down the walls of my compost bins or came in and ripped out all the crops on a bed or something like that. That never happened. I'm not really worried about it. If it happens, I guess I'll deal with it when the time comes. I guess, as the adage goes, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time and energy and mental capacity worrying about it if it's not a problem. It's not the type of problem that if it comes up, it's going to crush the farm. That's why I have multiple lots. That's why I grow multiple kinds of crops and all these other things, layering and stacking functions and all this good stuff that kind of minimizes my risk of these things. So I hope that addresses that question. I get it a lot, particularly in person. Don't get it online as much in the comments or on Facebook, but I get it in person quite a bit. So hopefully if you're a farmer that, maybe you're getting into it and you have a bit of these concerns, or some of these concerns have been brought up to you and, maybe you're kind of thinking about it, worrying about it. Maybe this kind of puts your mind at ease, gives you a frame of reference and a way you can think about it. So what about you? Do you have any concerns regarding theft or vandalism? Are you going to be building fences at your farm to deter humans, or maybe just for pests? Let us know in the comments below, get the conversation started. Also, if you have any ideas for video topics, any questions you want me to address, or ideas you want to bat around, please feel free to leave those comments as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get these videos out there to other folks who might be interested in getting a farm going or get a little better at farming. We'll catch you next time on Spin City's Farm.